Hello, I'm Jared McNett, a political reporter for the Sioux City Journal and frequent guest on the On Iowa Politics podcast. I'm here today to chat with Bryan Jack Holder, the Liberty Caucus challenger in Iowa's 4th congressional district. He's running against Republican incumbent Representative Randy Feenstra and Democratic candidate Ryan Melton. Good afternoon, Bryan.
Good afternoon, Jared. Thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this.
Absolutely. So I think maybe the easiest way to start is to just get a little background about you for folks who might not know you. So, how old are you? What sort of work do you do, and where do you live?
I have lived my whole life in Pottawatomie County. I grew up in the Crescent area and Bluffs, so I live sort of north of Counts Bluffs. In terms of my education, I graduated from St. Albert High School in Counts Bluffs. Iowa Western Community College, went there on a basketball scholarship, but couldn't play, so I walked on the baseball team. Got my Associate of Arts degree there in 93. Attended Bellevue University in Bellevue, Nebraska from 93 to 95, earned my BS in psychology with a minor in speech communications, and then completed my education at Creighton University School of Law in 1998. And for my employment, I've worked for a couple of corporations over the last 15 years, but I am a citizen journalist, photographer, videographer, filmmaker. So I film over 100 events here in the local community. And I put most of this content on my Facebook and YouTube channel so that people can enjoy the basketball, football games, the school concerts. But I also film town halls and community meetings to sort of do like you guys do, except instead of printing a paper, I'm doing it with my video camera.
Yeah, and you used a phrase that some folks might not be familiar with. So to you, what does it kind of mean to be a citizen journalist?
Well, it just means that I'm not working for a recognized, organized news corporation to produce content. I'm an entrepreneur, a free marketeer. So I go out there and pay my ticket to get in these games and then film the event and do my best job. I film the game with two cameras, one on the scoreboard and one on the contest. So people watch my games. It's a professional broadcast that I do for free. So I've got some local sponsors that help defray the cost of my productions. But just citizen journalists also go to town halls and record those events for the community so that the voters can be totally informed and engaged on election day, and they know the candidates and the issues, and they can determine who would best represent their interests once elected.
Yeah, so you've mentioned a couple different disciplines that you work in. You wear a number of different hats, including the one there. Um, I'm kind of wondering, what are some of your proudest accomplishments to date?
Just in terms of being a father. I mean, for me, that's the biggest thing in my life. My son is 23 years old and he's in graduate school. So he's not going to go earn a law degree. He's working on a psychology degree to figure out why his dad wears this tricorner Liberty hat. So, but other achievements is just the volume of work that I've done. Is that I've filmed and produced hundreds of games and other content for the community. So, they go to the games and watch it, but this way the parents can send the link to the grandparents, cousins, friends that live out of town, and they get to enjoy this experience of these kids in very, very wonderful achievements. I get to film district titles and other games, and so it's that's what I get the biggest joy out of. I can't be out on the court playing anymore, but I can preserve that moment for people.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the tricorner hat. Why do you wear that? Because you wear that in a number of public type engagements. So why do you wear that, and what's the significance?
Yes, I wear it just to remind people of our liberties and our freedoms, and that the American Revolution was fought for the Bill of Rights, and the people that founded this country wore hats similar to this. So I don't raise any money to run. I just do this grassroots thing on my own. So you have to be instantly recognizable when you're out there in public campaigning. And so by wearing this hat, you look at former President Trump. I think a lot of him winning the election was just the red hat he wore with a slogan on it. But I don't have a slogan on my hat. It's just a representation of freedom. So,
And then for this cycle, what initially made you want to run for Congress?
yes, this the first time I'm in the new fourth congressional district. The four previous times I ran, Pot County was in the third district. So, when you're a third party independent candidate, you advocate for certain issues. And my biggest issue is dividing our congressional districts into three smaller ones. The U.S. House was capped at 435 a century ago. Well, the population has tripled in the ensuing years. And so the districts have grown in size, and there's only 435. So states like Iowa, they're at the risk of losing a congressional district every 10 years, which means that the state has one less vote in the electoral college also. And so just advocating for smaller constituencies, I started doing that 8 years ago, continue to do it. 4 years ago, I finally put a name on the concept, and I call it the Iowa Compromise. So it's just divide by three, but divide their salary, divide the staffers. They get 20 paid staffers, and there's $1 million office budget on top of the salary to represent us. So in the current third district, which I'm still in, Congresswoman Democrat Cindy Axne has 3 offices. Well, when Republican David Young was in that office, he had 3 offices in the state of Iowa. So I'm not sure how many offices Congressman Feenstra has, but if I was elected in an alternate reality, I think there should be an office in every county in each congressional district here in Iowa.
So it sounds like, because I've seen you talk about that issue before with the House of Representatives. Along with that, what would you say some other top priorities of yours would be if you were to be elected in November?
Well, there needs to be a very, very strong peace initiative to resolve the conflict that's going on in the Ukraine and Europe between Russia and the West. Similarly, with the conflict, the arguments over Taiwan. It sort of scares me when I hear elected officials at the federal level call Ukraine our ally and they call Taiwan our ally. Because when you do that, if there was a formal treaty, a defense treaty, we would automatically be involved when they were attacked. So, Putin is a dictator. Xi of China is a dictator. But, you have to stand up to these people and let them know that there are people here in America that don't want war, but, we're not going to just roll over. So.
And what do you believe sets you apart from your 2 challengers in this race?
Well, just the idea of dividing the representation into smaller constituencies. I have heard Ryan Melton talk about that. Him and I have gotten to know each other, and he thinks that smaller constituencies should be something that should be considered. I don't know about Congressman Feenstra. He's going from representing 39 counties to 36 counties. But, there's 3 counties down here in Southwest Iowa that were part of the Des Moines district the last decade. And so, it's going to be difficult for him to sort of hit the ground running here in a district that has these new counties, and just the vast size of it. I mean, it stretches over multiple regions of the state. And to win an office like this, you've got to reach 500,000 voters to get their attention. And so, you have to place ads in the different media markets. There's major media markets, there's small ones. And so, I don't know how many votes I'll get come election day, but what you do, it helps myself and the other candidates, get some name recognition and get to know the people. The people get to know us and what we stand for. So.
Yeah, and one thing I was curious about with you, and talking about this issue with more representation in the U.S. House, how much do you think that would kind of cure a lot of what ails the current political process? Do you think that would remedy a lot of current problems that we see?
Jared, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it would be a successful endeavor. Just because my experiences out there is that The electorate and the voters are so highly polarized that sometimes they don't even want to sign your nomination petition and allow you to run for office if you're not with their party. It's almost sort of a tribal mentality, a gang mentality that these parties have. And it's just unfortunate that it's that way. The very first Congress, James Madison and James Monroe ran for the district in Virginia, and they campaigned together, and Madison won. Thankfully, he was there in the first Congress and wrote most of our Bill of Rights and everything. But him and Monroe campaigned together. They went to the same locations. I don't know if they rode a horse or a carriage, but I think that says a lot about the American character that we need to bring that back. Not to see our opponents as our mortal enemies. They're fellow citizens who have some different ideas about good government.
And then kind of putting a button on everything, ultimately, why do you think voters should choose you in November?
Well, I'm on the ballot to advocate for liberty through smaller constituencies. And for those of you that want to have this idea looked at and talked about, the more votes I get, the more attention that the other two candidates, whoever wins, they have to pay attention to what's going on. And they can win back those voters. All they have to do is propose smaller constituencies. But there's other issues that I advocate for: ending the drug war. There's a lot of Iowans that are in pain, suffering, and they don't have access to cannabis products that citizens of other states do. One other thing is that our debt-based fiat currency system, we can see the purchasing power of the dollar is being destroyed through inflation. But I was warning about that 8 years ago when I gave a speech at the state fair, and the Des Moines Register wrote about how I talked about the threat of inflation. So certain sectors of the economy, like photography, I don't do much photography work these days because these digital cameras have made my job sort of unneeded. So I know how the sons of the buggy whip makers felt 100 years ago when they couldn't make buggy whips anymore with the internal combustion engine in the cars.
Okay. Well, those were all the questions that I had for you.
Okay.
Bryan Holder, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.